Welcome, everybody, to the December 16th, 2024 uh, Oceanside Library's Poetry Near and Afar. We are delighted to have one of our local favorites, Margaret Wahl, with us. And we are especially ecstatic to welcome David Harrison, the Poet Laureate of the state of Missouri, who is joining us. And we are very honored to have him. Um, and so without any further ado, I'm going to turn it over to David. David, the floor is yours.
Tony, thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. It's my pleasure, of course, to be here. I haven't been able to get to Long Island in person. I hope to one day. But for now, at least, thanks to the magic of the internet, here I am, and here you are. I'm known primarily as a poet who writes for children. I've been doing that for a long time, so I claim to be the first state poet laureate who is acknowledged as a children's poet. I may be wrong, but I can't find anyone else. So if you know of anyone, let me know. I'm dying to meet any other poet who's had this same good fortune. I want to talk to them and pick their brains and see what they are doing or what they did as their own state poet laureate. Well, I thought I would read a little bit from my poems meant for an older reader, because I do write both. So let me read rather a few poems from this small collection, and then I'll switch over to sort of segue in to some of the poems meant for a younger audience. So this one is called The Price of Eggs. And it came as I drove along a highway, so just observation driven. I'm basically a storyteller, as my poems will probably tell you. The sign says, Eden Madge's best breakfast all day. I whiz by exit 12B, forfeit my chance to meet Madge and sample her cooking. Can't help wondering, though, how Madge is doing. That's a big sign. Cost her a bundle. Sleep, too, I bet. All that money nailed onto poles beside the road. Cost a lot of eggs. Is Madge there now? Off exit 12B. Hoping travelers inspired by her sign will swing off the interstate to see if she's really as good as she says. I imagine her, red-faced from the heat, hair showing gray, no time for color, blowing strays from her eyes, cracking eggs on the grill, yelling at someone, "Hi, folks. Thanks for coming. I'll be right with you." Hoping this week, this month, she'll crack enough eggs to pay for that sign. This one is about my mother and me, a simple act between a son and an aging mother. She was 2 weeks short of 100 years old when she died, and this wasn't too long before that. This is called Turnabout. These feet, once so quick in a game of tag, so graceful, sporting high heels at the dance. Weary now, ungainly appendages, painful reminders that time matters. I kneel in silence, tug as gently as I can, tight hose over calloused toes that once pirouetted and playfully pinched. Turnabout is fair play, I tell her. Turnabout, she whispers, smiling, no doubt, at some distant memory. This is The Gift. This was my father-in-law after his death and my mother-in-law's death. My wife, Sandy, and I were going through the closet pulling out clothes, sorting them, those to keep, those to give away, folding them. My job was to go through all the pants pockets and jacket pockets, looking for whatever might be there. The gift. I'd fold his clothes, recognizing some like old acquaintances, not met for a while, that recall stories of the man. Checking jacket pockets, my hand pulls out a program, Westminster Presbyterian, 1996. They spent most Sundays cooking, bringing food to share, left little time to collect church programs. This pocket yields a wrapper. The candy sucked. I'm guessing as he crossed a parking lot, keys in hand. The toothpick is in there too. This paperclip, easy. Betty went to the bank that day, took a deposit, kept the clip. Waste not, want not, he would say. Black comb, hip pocket. He had such beautiful hair. Thick, wavy, bright white. She liked to comb it. He liked that too. A map of routine, a man of routine, keeper of receipts, planner of pool shots, pitcher of pennies, ate out on Tuesday, bowled on Friday, attended high school reunions, organized his clothes front to back, newest by the door, transitioning by age in a slow march toward the rear. These pants at the back say garden. I can see him there behind the garage, tilling his beloved soil, scooping out rows like doodlebug holes, dripping in the seeds, soaking that with that old green hose, intent on the joys of working alone in the sun. I fold his clothes, fill boxes, make lists. They're just clothes, really, without the man. Whoever gets them won't know the stories. I kept nothing when he died, but now I know I'll keep these stories, like books from a library, checked out to cherish again. Life records its memories. I fold his clothes and give thanks. Absence of a fly. My wife and I were on an island somewhere in the Caribbean. And when we got into our room, we were dying to get down to the beach. So here's what I wrote about an experience there. Absence of a fly. When we checked into our room, I discovered a fly in the bathroom. A small thing, made no sound, flitting from towel to shower curtain. My wife saw it too. We swatted at it but missed, and in our hurry to feel sand on our feet, left the matter to deal with later. We killed the fly on the second morning. By then, we'd talked so much about our assigned bathroom fly. We missed it when it was gone. We'd walk into the bathroom half expecting the fly, knowing full well it wasn't there. Sometimes something that is no longer, that lived, survived adversities for a time, then ceased being, leave behind its absence for the living to remember. One more of these. The cost of miracles. Below, the trio of marble cherubs pouring water from bottomless pitchers. Coins cover the blue tile floor. Each a wish, flung eyes closed to guarantee success. Wishing for love, a miracle, cure, throw in a dime. Need a dog, a baby brother, a sunny day? Dig in your pocket. Maybe this is your lucky day. Sometimes even a penny will do it. Maybe you've prayed, sought advice, tried therapy. The sign says, do not throw coins in the fountain, yet people do. Okay, thank you for that. I'm trying to keep track of my time here, but Tony, are you keeping track of time? I hope.
I am, and you have plenty of time. You do not worry about time.
Okay, thank you so much. As the poet laureate of Missouri, I was asked to write a poem about Missouri. So this is the one I wrote. And this sort of segues toward writing for the younger people because I needed to include young people in this poem as well as older people. Missouri. I forget to smile sometimes. When I'm visiting schools, I often appoint some child in the front row to remind me to smile. It works too, it helps. They ask a child, why do you like Missouri? The child answered, I live here. My friends live here. I love Missouri. It's my home. It was a good answer. They ask a student, why do you like Missouri? The student answered, in school, I learned the first people canoed Missouri waters, cupped their hands at the springs, drew bows in deer-high grass, lived well off the land. The teacher said, explorers came, wagons followed, packed with Bibles, fiddles, cooking pots. Folks built cabins, churches, schools, outposts, the seeds of towns. The farmer, voice soft as tilled soil, said Missouri is dogwood trees, front porches, barns, lakes. It's rows of corn whispering in river-rich earth, cows in rolling pastures, frogs at night singing to the moon. The business person said Missouri is the heartbeat of many nations, the confluence of cultures, sharing visions, growing together. The writer said its original thinkers, Truman, Carver, Benton, Twain. It's serious fishermen, rabid fans. It's the show me state, Missouri. They asked an older person, why do you like Missouri? The older person answered, I live here. My friends live here. I love Missouri. It's my home. It was a very good answer. Thank you. A number of years ago, a friend of mine who lives in St. Louis was doing an art book. Her idea was to pick a few poets around the country and ask each of us to go to an art museum, pick out a painting, and then write a poem inspired by that painting. I wound up with an Andy Warhol a diptych, is that what they call it, of a cow, where they show the same cow, but with different colors and screens, and so I chose that one. And I decided, well, there's just one cow, and the rest of them are fakes. So I wrote this. It's me. Hey, over here, it's me, the real cow. Shh, don't tell the others. They don't know they're fakes. Hey, over here, it's me, the real cow. Shh, don't tell the others. They don't know they're fakes. Hey, over here, it's me. Now, the poem was okay. The editor liked it. And just as she was getting ready to go to press with this book, she discovered that she could not obtain the rights to that cow painting. So we were up in our, we didn't know what to do. But then she discovered that she could get the rights to the same treatment of Marilyn Monroe. The same Marilyn, done all those different ways. All I did was change one word. Hey, over here, it's me, the real Marilyn. Shh, don't tell the others. They don't know they're fakes. And that poem has been picked up all over the world. It's been in some really cool books, anthologies with some pretty tall company rather. And I wrote it about a cow. Well, so something that poets often do when writing for young people is we bring the best of poetry, the best tools, the best forms, the best effects of poetry, and try to incorporate that, inculcate that into poems for young people. Our job is to make poetry good for young people. And they deserve that. If they're ever going to develop a taste for English, well done. Develop a love for poetry. It's them, not when they're 35 years old and have kids and busy life. That's not a good time to start from scratch to learn anything. Too busy being alive. So here's an example. This is a villanelle called the Feisty Pig of France. The feisty pig of France is prone to root in search of buried fungus called the truffle. The problem is he likes to eat the loot. Farmer tries to train the spry galoot to snout the fungus out, but by sniff and snuffle, the feisty pig of France is prone to root. Farmer can't control the greedy brute. The pig will dig enough to fill a duffel. The problem is he likes to eat the loot. When farmer yells, he doesn't give a hoot. He swings his derriere in a shuffle. The feisty pig of France is prone to root. Sometimes the farmer prods him with a boot, but swine hide is much too tough to ruffle. The problem is he likes to eat the loot. The pig is much too valuable to shoot, and farmer knows he'd lose if he should scuffle. The feisty pig of France is prone to root. The problem is he likes to eat the loot. Now, stepping down further, that is, stepping down to a younger audience than that one, you can still use a villanelle. You can still use the best in poetry, even though it's for a child who doesn't yet have all the experience that he might need to fully get the meaning in some of the other poems that we write. So here's one called The Picnic. The problem with the picnic is the ants. As quickly as the cloth is on the table, you'll feel the first one crawling up your pants. People never really stand a chance. Food without intruders is a fable. The problem with the picnic is the ants. They'll find you if they have to crawl from France. No one understands how fast they're able. You'll feel the first one crawling up your pants. Around the corn, they do a victory dance, a buggy boogie if you need a label. The problem with the picnic is the ants. Their anti-voices utter tiny chants, according to my buggy Auntie Mabel. You'll feel the first one crawling up your pants. The way they rudely nibble as they prance makes you think they grew up in a stable. The problem with the picnic is the ants. You'll feel the first one crawling up your pants. That's silly or what? But hey, it has a lot of good language in it. And it gives kids something to think about too. Not only the rhyme, the repetition, the meter, the rhythm of the poem helps young people, especially beginning readers, learn the cadence of our language and the way it moves, the way it sounds. They become better readers. Okay, I know I'm no doubt running long, and I don't want to take up too much time, but
You are absolutely not running long. You're doing fine.
okay, you're very kind. I'd like to read a little bit of partner poems. That's something that you don't get into too often in poems for adults, but you do with kids. They love it. They like to write them. They like to make them up. They like to hear them. And again, it's good for them to read because one has to listen and read while the other one is speaking. So this one is called Have It Your Own Way. Now, I used to read this a lot in schools, and kids thought it was funny. But sadly, over time, fewer kids these days get it. So I don't read it in groups much anymore. But here it's called Have It Your Own Way. Two voices, teacher, student. I'm sorry, the other way around. Student first. Me and Sally are pals. Sally and I are pals. I didn't know you knew her. I don't. Then why did you say me and Sally are pals? Sally and I are pals. You said it again. You said me and Sally are pals. Sally and I are pals. Have it your own way. You and her are pals. But I don't believe it, and Sally won't neither.
Hmm.
Then there's a time when boys discover girls. It's a big change in life. Changes everything. Girls discover boys before boys even know what's going on, but sooner or later we catch up. So this is some things you don't see coming. Something happened over summer. Girls are looking different now. Hard to say exactly how. Other guys have noticed too. Seems like all we ever do is sneak looks at girls. Makeup, maybe? Clothes? Perfume? How they walk across the room? Can't explain, I only know. Haven't told another soul. We think we're liking girls. And then a sad one, because kids experience all kinds of emotions the same as we do. Can't think of many that they don't experience. And so sadness is one of them. And sometimes that's the way for them to get past grief, get past unhappiness, is to write about it, to talk about it. So this is called Death of a Wasp. I wrote this for some other book, and my editor cried, she told me. And she asked me if I could write a whole book of poems like that, which I did, and it became another book. Anyway. Bumping at the window pane, he fought against the solid air that held him as a prisoner there. But all his struggles were in vain, never comprehending glass, clear as air, that stopped him hard and blocked his freedom to the yard. Repeatedly he tried to pass. Eventually he lost his fight, and perished on a sunny sill. facing toward his freedom still, wings awry in broken flight. He had a name, Tripoxylon, a small but vibrant living thing who came in by the door in the spring and in a day or two was gone.
All right.
Okay, let me do one more that's, I don't want to end on that.
Okay, that sounds good.
May I do one more, Tony?
Sure, please do.
Brussels sprouts,
Ugh.
the child, the parent. What's that green thing? Brussels sprouts. I don't want no Brussels sprouts. Any. Come on, try some Brussels sprouts. I don't want no Brussels sprouts. Any. These are special Brussels sprouts. I don't want no Brussels sprouts. Any. Just one taste of Brussels sprouts. If I taste these Brussels sprouts, then can I have something else? Sure. I hate these Brussels sprouts. Here's some yummy cottage cheese, pickled beets, cauliflower, lima beans, and chicken liver. Please pass the Brussels sprouts. I don't want no chicken liver. Any. There you go.
Absolutely wonderful.
Well, I lied. I would like one more, just one more.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
I'm really sorry. I know I'm going on.
You know,
But
you're
this
fine.
is the one I like to end on because it really is kind of fun. It's called A Lollity-Poppity Day. It's a lollity-poppity day. It's a lollity-poppity hide-and-go-seekity day. It's a lollity-poppity hide-and-go-seekity read a good bookity day. It's a lollity-poppity hide-and-go-seekity read a good bookity roll in the grassity day. It's a lollity-poppity hide-and-go-seekity read a good bookity roll in the grassity talk with a friendity day. It's a lollity-poppity hide-and-go-seekity read a good bookity roll in the grassity talk with a friendity sit on a lappity day. It's a lollity-poppity hide-and-go-seekity read a good bookity roll in the grassity talk with a friendity sit on a lappity play with your pettity day. It's a lollity-poppity hide-and-go-seekity read a good bookity roll in the grassity talk with a friendity sit on a lappity play with your pettity happy-go-luckity day. Hooray! Thank you.
Hey, hooray. Oh, David, thank you so much.
Oh, I love being here.
Oh, that was wonderful. Unmute yourselves, people. Let's give them a round.
Great.
Thank you everyone very much.
David, even more magical in person. You're just so magical.
Thank you. Thank you.
That was wonderful. Absolutely wonderful.
Linda and I have
Alright.
known each other for a long time on internet.
Yes.
There you go. All right.
Yes, we have.
Well, good. I'm glad we're bringing people together. All right. And now, without any further ado, our good friend, Margaret.
Hi, thank you, Tony. Thank you, David. That was a great reading. I'm a special ed teacher's aide, so I enjoyed all those children's poems very much. Reading those to my kids. Anyway, tonight I'd like to celebrate. I self-published a book of memoir poems to my late crush called End Credits. And all the money from my book I've been giving to the Montauk Lighthouse, the Historical Society, because my late crush, he was very much loved Montauk, which is the very far end of the Long Island, so that David knows where it is. It's where many Long Islanders vacation during the summer. It's beautiful. There are whales, there's a lighthouse. I saw dolphins out there. So this was a 2-year endeavor of a book that I wrote, and I'm just going to dive right into it. My late crush was involved in the TV and movie industry, so you'll hear a lot of that in my poetry. So I'm going to start off with the title poem of the book called End Credits. When I saw the letters of your name, I remembered 9th grade health class, brought you extra pens just to loan you one. You never came prepared. When I saw the letters of your name, I returned back to 1989. Square danced in gym class. Your decision to moon the video camera landed you in school suspension. Our gym teacher not amused, but I was. When I saw the letters of your name, it reminded me of social studies class, you with the cold acting scenes from The Godfather. Claiming you were Don Corleone made me laugh, and it still does. When I saw the letters of your name in the end credits of Boardwalk Empire, I gasped, smiled, proud to have known you way back when. When I saw the letters of your name on Facebook, it announced your passing and arrangements for your funeral. Gasp in disbelief still. I remember your influences on my life. Love of mob movies, Italians, Brooklyn. I write a pen pal in Italy, 30 years, all because of you. Each influence with your memory I cling onto like the letters in your name. No, there will never be another one as unique and as meaningful as you, Frankie. Crush, once a noun, is a verb. Thank you. So in the 2 years that I've been writing this, I was going back and learning a lot about him. So this one is called Pathway of Your Footprints. And it has an epigraph by a poet from Long Island. Everywhere reminds me, and that's Ann Cohen. Bensonhurst united with Howard Beach, and they created you. Long Island next, your family moved to. Later on to Staten Island and Bronxville you went for a few. So many places, seen your faces and remind me of you. Parts of Jersey you camped with fire pits and booze. Manhattan you worked in and Long Beach addressed you to. Montauk your favorite spot to be. You left stickers in places like a signature for traces. I searched to find them all, you see. Massapequa produced the man you came to be. It's where you grew up, beside shy, quiet me. Your legacy continues, though you are gone, and my pen memorializes as my poetry emphasizes, your memory carries on. This next poem is titled No Acknowledgement to Now. When I went through his history of his film and TV, there was a lot of things he didn't get credit for, where he was like in the background for things like being a greensman or art director, and they didn't put him in the end credits. So this is called No Acknowledgement to Now. I decided, well, if they're not going to give you the credit, I will. Sometimes we throw away pieces of our lives, and that's from Dr. Pramila Van Funkeswaran, who is a Suffolk poet. It's been some time since you passed, years since we've spoken, and I'm still learning the life you led. On a name search, I found credentials, your TV and film resume, 84 items of accomplishment in 48 years. Your uncredited work upsets me. Roles as greensman coordinator, location management, set dresser, art department assistant, even acting parts where caterers and baristas got listed. Scrolls that don't carry the consonants and vowels living inside your name. New Amsterdam, Ocean's 8, The Sorcerer's Apprentice, Chinese Coffee, China Girl, The Michael J. Fox Show, owe you a line in their final credits. Kidnapped, Forever, The Big C, Made in Manhattan, and 10 episodes of The Affair have no excuses for your unrecognized talent, time, and skills on their set. Changing Lanes, Election, The Adventures of Sebastian Coe are all on the rocks and need to hit the high town for leaving you faceless, nameless, and ignored. Who's on top so I can write them a winter's tale and inform them of your passing? Put the stepwives to shame while Henry's crime robbed you of an unnoted, unclaimed, unsung fame. You earn this because even in death, you can be gained the respect that you deserve. Next poem I'm going to read is called Being Extra. This was after watching him in one of his small parts in a movie. Being Extra. An expeditious glance on my screen, there you were, a brief sighting of those almond-shaped, dark, thick hair, and long eyelashes. As a boxing referee in sneakers, black shorts with a plain white t-shirt. Watch as you meander from one side of the room across to the other. A bar floor boxing ring records your memory. A meander roll in a scene inside an Irish pub in Montauk. Insignificant to most, but this small-scale character lives inside a moment to last a lifetime. Seeing you, the man I crushed on at 15, in front of the camera instead of behind one, so alive in 1999, is a gift, a non-speaking small walk-on the film Sunburn. This undersized cameo returns my teenage butterflies like any opportunity of seeing you would. This indulgence after your death ensures even spare parts, small and spare parts in movies should never be cut and tossed to the studio floor. One trivial segment provides the chambers of my heart to pound a little harder, love a little stronger towards 1 minute I can call a legacy. Thank you. This poem is titled The End, which is what Montauk's referred to, being the end of Long Island. And it's got a double meaning here. The end, that's what they call it, the end. Eastern hamlet on the south end of Long Island, full of restaurants, motels, gift shops, where the Surf Lodge housed your art show dream, where we drive east on Sunrise Highway and notice the trees shrink as the sand appears more and more. Then what feels like out of nowhere, a sudden ocean, this large body comes into view. This beach paradise full of surfers and seafood. The dunes line the road like a list of memories. Stop to stand, feet bare, deep in sand, my journal in one hand, my pen in the other. I smell your once existence in saltwater air. The stickers and magnets read M2K, the end, and I've reached it. The infamous lighthouse draws tourists. I'm not there for its attraction or its light, only to catch a final glimpse of your memory in this place, your favorite. I came as a child to a friend's summer home, later as a teen camping in Heather Hills with you in my dreams. Now an adult, not ready for this chapter of my life to close. 2 words expire, all I remember, postmarked, the end. This next one is called Written Because. We all do this when we're writing. We write while we're writing. So this one's called Written Because. And I have an epigraph, Tears are words that need to be written, by Paulo Coelho. This was written because living in disbelief inside quieted corners becomes unhealthy. Poetry is cathartic. Because there was more left to say. I write this because closing my eyes, I can still see you, feel how it felt when you walked into a room. Remember the first time my eyes saw yours, wished for a second time and have you in one of my classes on the very morning you happened. Because you changed people, you changed me. Meant to be wasn't meant for me, but was for everyone else. Because your art can be judged by contradictory eyes, and I only want to defend you on a written page. You aren't here to speak for yourself. This was written because I'll forever be on your side, whether it's the divorce, seeing you through photos you weren't happy, not smiling, and I know you tried. Your art raises questions. Art is perception, like poetry. Junior high suspensions. Some kids were immature and annoying. You had to kick some asses. No acknowledgement for your work. Even the smallest roles on sets deserved credit. Guilty for teasing the boy next door. Bullying in the 90s built adults with strength, not pussies like millennials. For the days you partied too much, you were safe about it because you sat on top of my desk in high school and spoke to me with integrity. A moment I wish I could go back and tell you how I felt, because your Instagrams left as its own metaphor. Your first post has my curiosity, the dark bathroom window. Your last post is a screen of a leafy pot, limited view from another window. Everything else, a 10-year span in between, shows you full of life, of experiences, of memories. I write this because you should be here and you aren't. I'm going to do 2 more from my book, and then I'm going to get a little more upbeat. This next poem is called I Don't Want to Call You a Memory. I woke up dreaming and singing that line. I don't want to call you a memory. I don't want to call you a memory. I don't want my eyes to swell from missing you tears I shed. I don't want to say you're gone when forever is such a long time. I don't want to say you disappeared when you existed and mattered. I don't want to call you a poof, like you vanished. You were never a magic trick. I don't want to call you absent like we did in school. I don't want to have closure. You aren't just a story, you're many. I don't want to move on like a breakup on a relationship we never had. I don't want to recover from you. You're not a drug or drink or lifestyle choice I made. I don't want to say it's over, no matter how much everything about you has. I don't want to come to terms without you like you were a lesson. I'm still learning more about you. I don't want to call you an end. You aren't a book I'd close. I don't want to heal from losing you. It feels like I'd be letting you go. I won't call you a memory. You were great, and I'm glad we met. You gave life a smile the brief time you were here. You were not just a memory. You're my crush, now my muse, alive on the pages each time I write. And this one's titled 1988. When I used Aquanet and too much blue eyeliner, carried hard blue loose leaf binders I wrote your initials on, extra pens lined inside my oversized pocketbook, wore bright color sweaters, spandex pants with horseshoe loops on the ends, covered up with thick socks and white Keds. You wore a leather waist bag, called it a fag bag, and it never carried any pens. You were in sweatpants and oversized sweatshirts and polo cologne, permeated classroom air. Girls with too much makeup and extensive high hair had you in their arms and in their beds, and I carry you in my heart where you remain. Thank you. And for one last one, I'm doing the writing challenge of Modesto with Judy Turek and a bunch of others I'm sure that are on here. And one of the props we got was to write hope in a haiku. So I did a hope in a haiku and Sanryu sequence. And this is, hope is like our hearts beating rhythm in deep breaths, easily broken. Hope is like a cat, constant giving of love with purr sounds and cuddles. Hope is a handout filled with spare change or bills done by charity. Hope's a Christmas tree filled with ornaments and lights, dreams wrapped in presents. Hope is a new year filled with intentions and dreams, 12 months to fulfill. Hope is your brown eyes, the sounds of your voice again coming back to me. Hope is a haiku, 17 sounds in nature, poetically done. Hope floats in ocean, surfaces onto the shore, rescued sea turtle. Hope flies on wings of angels and butterflies sent down from heaven. Hope is everything, good and bad mixed together, keeps us believing. Hope carries you on in lives of your children, never forgotten. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. All right. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. All right. Let's give a big round to both of our features here. What a wonderful night. Thank you, everybody. Okay, so we're gonna move on now to our open mic. Again, if you don't want to be in the open mic, just throw it in the chat. And we'll get started with Marvin, you're up, and Edna, you're on deck.
This poem is called Ophelia. It's one of the poems in my series about literary characters. It's probably the shortest one. Ophelia was Hamlet's girlfriend. Feeling betrayed by her, he tells her to go to a nunnery, and that's explained by the first line in the poem. And he kills her father when he didn't mean to. She becomes crazed and she drowns, and that explains the refrain. You have taken the veil, Ophelia, and now tangled in your seaweed shroud, you float to your God. You have plucked the pretty flowers, you have sung the fragile songs, and now, pretty fragile lady, you float to your God. You have taken orders from your father and been loosened to your Lord, and now, crossed by both, you float to your God.
Thank you, Marvin. Excellent, excellent, excellent. All right, Edna, you're up, and Emily Sue, you're on deck. As soon as I find Edna, there she is. Welcome back.
Okay.
Joining us from further west.
Boise, Idaho.
There you go.
And this is our final meeting of the year.
Yes.
And therefore, my poem is the first words we hear the eve of every new year is always, I can't believe it's already. Some things never change. Surely they have not since day one. I can just picture back in a cave, Stone Age woman nodding her head in total amazement. I just can't believe it's already 2025 BC.
You're right. Some things never change. That's great. Emily Sue, you're up, and Linda, you're on deck.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Wonderful readings tonight. I changed gears at the last minute here. I'm going to read one from my book, We Are Beach Glass, because today there was another school shooting, and I just can't take it anymore. So this poem is called Not the Founder's Dream. America's fascination with guns is killing us. Schools hold active shooter drills, kids certain they're next. Teachers blockade doors, follow their students into closets bursting with fear. They crouch in willed silence, amplified by ragged breathing in dread unison. Hastily composed farewell texts await send. Phones clutched in sweaty palms, no shield against a spray of bullets. Hands in the air, those who can run, single file towards safety. A citadel forever on the horizon. Thoughts and prayers, cold, cold ashes scattered on breezes. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Okay, Linda, you're up, and Robert, you're on deck.
Thank you so much, Tony, and thank you to our features. What a pleasure.
I'm actually, Linda, I'm going to interrupt you. There's something I've been thinking about doing, and since I remembered it just now, I'm going to do it. Just when you do the open mic, just tell us where you are.
Okay.
Just
I'm
tell
in
us,
East Northport. I'm in East Northport, New York.
There you go.
I wrote this from the choir loft one Sunday. It's called The Children's Moment. And it's from my book called Robes, The Art of Being Covered. For all the beautiful brothers, including mine. There, at the foot of the minister, listening for the story, she sat, draped in black velvet, cream organza, gold sparkles, her long hair gathered in a crushed curl of red flowing down her back. She realized Her dress was unzipped. She simply turned to her brother and mouthed, "Please, zip me." No words, a quizzical look. Then his awkward hands found the zipper and coaxed it up the track. Peace on earth. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda.
You're welcome.
Wonderful. Okay, Robert, you're up, and Gerald, you're on deck.
Thank you, Tony, from Palo Alto, California. Elvis in the house. In the nursing home's dining room, the Elvis impersonator sings Christmas songs to a mute audience nibbling feebly from unappetizing lunch trays, a mostly immobile audience, roughly the age the real Elvis would have been. While down the hall and to the left, a patient growls and howls obscenities in a room where two of his three roommates turn up the volume on dueling TV channels, and a cheerful immigrant aide changes the other roommate's diaper. Silver bells, the Elvis impersonator sings in a not too terrible tenor. Soon it will be Christmas Day. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, Robert. Always powerful. Thank you so much. All right, Gerald, you're up, and Sharon, you're on deck. You're on deck.
Okay, I have one for you. It's not very imaginatively titled, A Christmas Story. More than a week has passed since he finished holiday decorations. In the window, the festive tree sparkles with new LEDs. Christmas cards and photographs line the fireplace mantel above a crackling fire. A trip to market this morning for final holiday dinner items. Last cards to the post office. The weather looks bad for holiday travelers, but he will spend Christmas snug in the old house. What family he has are many states away, so he smiles at snapshots from the past. Cheerful cards from realtor, bank, insurance agent, anticipates the turkey dinner in the freezer, admires the cheerful fire on YouTube, the blue lights among the tree's tinsel.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Gerald, where are you at?
Winterset, Iowa.
Very nice. Thank you for joining us. Okay, Sharon, you're up, and Phil, you're on deck.
Okay, hello, everyone. Thank you, Tony. All the readings were beautiful tonight.
Where are you, Sharon?
I'm from Brooklyn.
Very good.
The Bedford-Stuyvesant section of Brooklyn. Okay, so this one is called A Conversation Between the Fork, the Knife, and the Spoon. It was so kind of inspired by some of the things that happens, conversations that come up during the dinner time and with family, and sometimes I just be silent because I don't want to get into these things. So it came about thinking about the fork, knife, and the spoon. So it's called The Conversation Between the Fork, Knife, and the Spoon. The stuff we hear during these dinner affairs is so disturbing. The world certainly has its issues. Who could think of a dinner affair without considering the lives of a fork and a knife? We settle together on their plates, and we last sometimes longer than husbands and wives. Well, what about me? The spoon says. We certainly have our issues. You both think the most important job is handled by the two of you. Who do you think they turn to when their servings are too tough? Says the fork. The spoon gets upset and asks the two, have you heard of a thing called a spoon? Have you heard of a thing called soup? What both do if a ball was in front of you? Also, history reports I have been used long before the both of you. Speechless, the knife glances at the curved body in all the right places of the spoon and says, "That is a good point." The fork waits patiently, saying not a word now, and hoping that the infatuation the knife has with the spoon will spill and go away. Heart beating fast, the fork is happy that the main meal is about to be served and the knife is all hers again. She is pleased that she is rid of that spoon, who is nothing but a flirt.
Nice.
All right. Thank you, Sharon. Okay. Phil, you're up, and Mark, you're on deck. There we go.
Oh, me? I thought you said Bill.
No, I said Phil. You got it as Phil. I don't.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. It's not a problem. Where are you from? Where are you?
I'm a New Yorker, but right now I'm living in McKinney, Texas.
Very nice. Welcome, 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 welcome.
Thank you. I recently worked with Judy Turek and Peter. His last name fails me now. And I also self-published a book called Disenchantments.
Very nice.
And I'd like to read one of my poems from it.
Sure, sure.
I'm enjoying the poetry tonight. The last
Good.
one, a spoon and the fork, was very nice.
Good.
Marguerite's and very.
Everybody was great.
I'm going to read a poem I wrote called Penance. Hang me on a splintered cross. Let my festering wounds force my pungent pain free, till sin slithers far from me. Stretch my arms, bind my feet, hammer rusty nails, pound them deep. Leave me on a yew tree for a day, 2, maybe 3. Take me down, cover my breast, grant me sleep that I might rest. Suffer me to lie on a borrowed bed, my bleeding, thorn-crowned head.
Thank you. Very powerful. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Mark, you're up, and Bob, you're on deck.
I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina.
There we go. We're bouncing all around the country. It's great.
Sleep, where are you? Hiding under the covers somewhere that my toes haven't yet touched tonight? You're out of sight, like I'm out of my mind. I'm trying to find you so I can forget my life for a while and to be led by your hand to places I've never been, never dreamed I could be. So sleep. Are you there somewhere? Tucked between pillow and case? Or in a groove on the headboard? Where are you, sleep? Hanging out on the corner where frame and mattress meet? I'm here to greet you with open arms in a modified fetal position, praying in supplication, tossing and turning and keeping eyes out on the lookout for you. You must be here, must be near. I can feel you approaching, but where are you now? Where are you lurking? Sleep. Are you hiding in that twist of blanket at foot of bed? Are you stuck between my toes? Undulating in the exhale directly under my nose? Are you there, sleep? floating in midair and I just cannot see you next to me, here in the darkness? Or sleep? Are you playing hide and seek inside your secret space? In the toes of my shoes against the wall on the other side of the room?
Thank you, Mark. All right. Bob, you're up, and Ronald, you're on deck.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you to the features. Great words. This is called Running Until. Running fast, running far, running along, running through, running until running out. Thank you.
Thank you. Where are you at, Bob?
Oh, West Sayville on the island of Pominock.
There you go. No, the Long Island. Okay. Ronald, you're up, and Joe Cottonwood, you're on deck. Ronald, I had you. Where are you? Oh, I seem to have lost him. And I seem to have, did I lose Joe too? All right. Then I'm going to go with Randy, you're up, and Chris, you're on deck. You're muted, Randy.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, Randy Fowler from Long Island, but my hometown's Modesto, where they're having the most, hosting the most poetry prompt. So proud of that. Okay, little autobiographical, A Soul Expressed. A young lad of 6 delighted to sing, thought he was awesome at everything, tried out for school choir, not what they desired, but all his friends joined, which left quite a sting. Rejected each year until 6th grade, meanwhile attempted alternative ways, but trumpet or sketch was too great a stretch. Expressing his joy went dormant that day. For 52 years, his soul grew compressed, till at 63, his life unexpressed, a silent retreat, erupted a beat, poetry his pulse with which God had blessed. This C+ student in English realized, with middling lyrics he may be baptized, but prefers by far his prosaic art to a shriveled soul whose message has died. Poem.
Wonderful. Thank you, Randy. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Okay. So, Chris, you're up, and Dee Dee, you're on deck.
Thank you. I'm from Baldwin, New York, and I'm going to read a poem called The Swirls, which is on my upcoming collection called Drift 1.5, which will be launching on New Year's Eve on Amazon. The Swirls. For an hour, he yawns every 15 seconds during a professor's lecture on color in an art studio. He constantly rubs his irritated eyes with his hands covered in acrylic paint with 2 pigments. He sees green in his left, pink in his right. Both tears drop from his face and lands on printer paper. Those tears move on their own and suddenly meet and meshes. The professor notices the situation and walks slowly and quietly and leans forward and squints his eyes to observe closely. Green and pink swirls around without a touch until it did 30 seconds later. A dot of tan appears in the middle of the swirl and gradually grows outward. His tan tear rides from the bottom of the paper to the middle, and it goes around and around and around and around until it gets inside of a huge swirl like the ones he saw from the panels of the Uzumaki manga. And now it paralyzes the professor and perishes instantly. by the swirls that consumes his body. The student who's now the only entity sitting at a long, dilapidated laminate table is at a loss for words, his hands on his head, thinking to himself, I've made a masterpiece. He quickly pulled out his business card, a business card that's from an art director at the MoMA to make an emergency call. Poem.
Thank you, sir. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hmm.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay. Dee Dee, you're up, and Vinny, you're on deck.
Thank you, Tony. So Dee Dee, or Doreen Spungen from North Woodmere, which is a step sibling of Valley Stream. Wonderful David and Margarette, really, really wonderful evening, and everybody else, of course. This is I Tire of Listening. Pull dark shades, but leave a peephole for the season's beauty. No other balm available. At this age, soothing becomes rare in air that serves to irritate. Yes, the voices of anger and sorrow, the many versus the few. Which side are you on? Why sides? Why not a unification? I cry for a past when I was protected by a soft voice saying, it's going to be all right. Back then, even when winter arrived and skinned knees were the angst of the moment, there were possibilities, umbrellas for rain, promises for hope, love for whatever loomed. Give me your tired, your poor. We're still yearning for something better. But oh, those sides.
Thank you, Doreen. Wonderful, as always. All right.
All right. Thank you, Tony, David, Margaret. You're wonderful.
Hang on one second, Vin. Vin,
I'm
you're
sorry.
up. And Larry, you're on deck. And Vinny, just tell us where you're calling from.
Rocky Point, calling you from Rocky Point, New York. So the name of this poem is a Seaworthy Native, and it's an anagram to A Stairway to Heaven. So it's basically I took the melody, the tune of The Stairway to Heaven, I rewrote the words. Here we go. She was sure it was gold, but it was not. She's a fool after all. Who would ever buy A Stairway to Heaven? Front row seats, sold out shows, shuttered shops in the clouds. She's spending it anyway, after all. Isn't that what the card is for? Yeah, and she's a seaworthy native. Yeah, she's a newsworthy lady. There's a post with instructions, although interpretations tend to vary. There's a mangrove, it grows, a songbird, who knows? The most of our minds are still clouded. Yes, she ponders. Yeah, she ponders, ascending in search of a bargain. A yearning she'd get as the sun starts to set. Her soul begs her towards ascending. In her mind's eye, she views smoke which is blue encircling the people left speaking. It makes her wonder, yeah, wander and ponder. Are we just rats hissed at by cats, logically listening for the patter? A new morning has come, but we still beat the drum, echoing the same silly chatter. Though low, whoa, there's a rustle in the yard, but don't be surprised by all the racket. It's only the water sprinkler pelting a bucket. Two roads diverged. There's still time to choose both. Don't just stand there, go off and wander. And it makes her wonder, yeah, wander and ponder. Oh, the pain, the pain, the pain. Her head is hurting from the piper's persistent piping. What's this thing whispering to her in the wind, dear lady? As we go twining down the road, travel is harsh and weather is foul, with faces twisted in a scowl. Sometimes we just want to explode. Repeat, rewind, and then reload. Scratch and claw and bite and howl. And when all else fails, buy a vowel. Next time you feel annoyed, just listen to Stairway or Pink Floyd. Enjoy the moment, be overjoyed. There's really no need to be somber. Doesn't anyone remember the laughter? Thank you, poem.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Vin. All right. Let's see. Okay, so Larry, you're up, and JR, you're on deck.
I'm in Rockville Center, where I'm hoping before Biden leaves office, he will pardon me. I have gone through life telling people I saw Rocky Colavito play baseball for the Indianapolis Indians when I was a kid. Reading his obit last week, I discovered that he was only 4 years older than I am. So when I saw him play at Victory Field in Indianapolis in 1954, he was only 20 or 21, and I was about to be a senior in high school. There's a chapter about visits to Victory Field in my new book, I Should Have Married My World History Teacher, Confessions of a Hoosier Class Clown. I was on a baseball team that won a tournament. We were rewarded with tickets to an Indians game. Fairly early in the game, there was an exciting play by the Indians, and I jumped up to cheer. A teammate of questionable breeding put a broken Coke bottle where I had been sitting. When I plopped back down, the Coke bottle and I became acquainted. United, in fact. The broken neck of the bottle penetrated the cheek of my butt, but luckily did not enter the crack, the stairway to the stars. There was a considerable amount of blood, and I was taken down to the locker room of the visiting team, the Kansas City Blues. A trainer stopped the bleeding, but suggested I be taken to a hospital for stitches. That's what happened. What I remember most about being sewn up in the hospital was the flirting between a friendly doctor and a friendly nurse. I had a feeling they planned to use the table I was on as soon as I got my butt off of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry.
Tony, may I interrupt? I'm very sorry, but I do have a previous commitment.
Sure.
I'm afraid I'm going to have to say goodbye.
No, but thank you, David. It was our pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us, and
Thank
have
you,
a
Dave.
very merry and happy holidays.
Thank you so much for having me. I've enjoyed it and been loving all these wonderful poems by you other poets. It's been a pleasure, and I thank you, and I apologize for having to leave.
No, so thank you. Thank you.
All right.
All right, JR, you bring it on home.
Okay. J.R. Turek, Judy from East Meadow, Long Island, New York. So I'm delighted this actually will be in Poets of the Promise anthology. I believe in hope, in miracles, in faith healing what medical science cannot. I believe in wishes, in dreams, in childlike magic to widen my eyes with surprise. I believe in God, in saints, in the impossible being possible with prayer. I believe in angels, in heaven, in my circle of family and friends, though I don't need to see their wings. I believe in Santa, in the needing, in the wanting, being gift greater than my expectations. I believe in peace, in you, in me, and the possibility that someday all the world will believe too. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. Well, it's been a wonderful evening. I'm going to end. I'm kind of taking a personal privilege here. This is not a poem that I wrote, but this is a Christmas thing that I wrote. I wrote a series of these for my children and my nieces and my nephews to talk a little bit about how Christmas has been in my family going back. So I appreciate your indulgence. When I was young, I lived on a suburban block in Massapequa that had maybe 16 houses and at least 40 kids. I'm the eldest of 4, and we were one of the smaller families. Each year in early December, starting when I was around 9 or 10, my mother would put out the word to the block that it was time for caroling practice. No email, no phone chain. She'd tell us, we'd tell our friends. And the next thing you knew, there were 15 or so kids in our small Levitt house living room practicing Christmas carols. She accumulated a collection of tattered songbooks, some loose typed pages. We'd share with one another and compete to see who would hold the lyrics. We practiced once or twice before the big day. I remember noise, chaos, and as always surrounded my mother, laughter. Our Christmas Eves during those years went like this. The neighborhood kids, ages maybe 2 to 18, would meet at our house after dark. We'd go from house to house singing "We Wish You a Merry Christmas" as our walking song, then belt out a Christmas standard at each neighbor's house. Joy to the World, Silent Night, Rudolph, the 12 Days of Christmas, Deck the Halls, White Christmas, the Chestnut Song. We knew dozens of them, and I still do. And not just the first verse. We sang loudly with good spirit and high cheer, if not in tune or with metered harmony. A couple of years we caroled with snowflakes swirling around us. Magic. While we were out, my father would put up the real Christmas tree we'd bought the day or the day before. I can still hear him cursing as he struggled to get it in the stand straight, finally giving up and just tying the huge fir with twine to nails he drove in the wall, using the loose-headed hammer we had for decades. After we hit all the houses on both sides of the block, it was back to our house for hot chocolate and Entenmann's donuts, the box divided into white powdered sugar, plain, and cinnamon. Then we kicked everybody out. Alone at last, the 6 of us decorated the tree. Well, 5 really. Dad, now exhausted from wrestling the tree and damn near electrocuted from stringing the frayed lights, sprawled on the couch and supervised. The next hour or so was filled with old ornaments, tinsel, and prayers that the tree didn't topple from the weight of its additions and the clumsiness of high on sugar, can't wait for Santa children. Trying to attach glass ornaments using sharp metal fishhook hangers while dodging the world's greatest collie who wanted in on the action made for an interesting trial for little kids. That we didn't spend any eves at the emergency room was in itself a Christmas miracle. The tree done, though I think Mom redid a lot later, it was off to bed hoping that morning would come soon, but that sleep would hold off till the reindeer landed and maybe this year we could get a glimpse of Santa. That Christmas storyline lasted until I was 19, the year my mother was killed. She never missed a year. But as a teenager, I blew off a couple. Too cool, too self-conscious to go caroling with my mother and the younger ones. I often wish I could go back and talk to myself, the younger me at various points in my life, maybe steer me in a better direction. We all have regrets, I guess, and wonder how things would have turned out if we had gone a different path. I know I most certainly wish I could go back and make sure I didn't miss a single carol. Still, my memories of caroling of those Christmas Eves are strong and warm the coldest nights each holiday season. Christmas Eve changed for my family after my mother was gone. Looking back, I guess it changed for a lot of people. My dad lived on that block for another 15 years or so, and we all spent every Christmas Eve in that house. But I don't remember any more carolers. Thank you, everybody. I wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy Hanukkah and a Happy Kwanzaa and a happy and healthy New Year. I look forward to being with all of you and bring more friends. Would certainly love to see everybody, and it's really cool. I think that we've brought so many people from around the country and around the world at times here for this program. So, thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you, everybody. Night. Great poetry.
Thank you.
Everyone in good health.
Healthy and safe New Year to everybody. Bye.
Peace.
Peace.
Thank you
Good
all.
night.
Good night, all.
Good night.